Hey there, Agile Adventurer. Just a quick question. What if, for the price of a fancy coffee or half a pizza, you could unlock over 700 hours of the best Agile content on the planet? That's audio, video, e-courses, books, presentations, all that you can think of. But you can also join live calls with world-class practitioners and hang out in a flame war-free and AI slop-clean Slack with the sharpest minds in the game. Oh, and yes, you get direct access to me, Vasco, your Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. No, this is not a drill. It's the Scrum Master Toolbox membership. And it's your unfair advantage in the Agile world. So if you want to know more, go check out scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. That's scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. And check out all the goodies we have for you. Do it now. But if you're not doing it now, let's listen to the podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Team Tuesday. This week we have with us Arun Parameswaran. Hey, Arun. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Duet. So thank you so much for the second session. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we have more to come. But first, today's topic. We're going to talk about teams that self-destruct. But before we jump into that, share with us, what was the book that most inspired you in your career as a Scrum Master?
Okay, so one of the book is like Coaching Agile Teams. So from Liza Atkins. So that was one of the book that influenced me most in coaching Agile teams. Yeah.
So when you think about that book, what are some of the key lessons that you remember from the book that you took away from reading it?
Okay. So one of the things, it changed my thinking about the Scrum Master role. So I realized that being a Scrum Master is not just about facilitating ceremonies. It's about coaching individuals, coaching the team, and influencing the wider organization. So one question from that mindset that I always keep in mind is, I'm solving the problem for the team, or I'm helping the team learn to solve it themselves. Yeah. So why should Scrum Masters might read that book is like, because it helps you move from being a facilitator to become a true team coach. Yeah.
When you think about that book, or perspective, I think we can call it, that different perspective that gave you as a Scrum Master. If you were now talking to Scrum Masters out there that perhaps haven't read that book, what is like a very practical tool that Lisa shares in the book that stayed with you in order for you to really be able to focus on that idea of coaching individuals and coaching teams?
So I would like to go on the book practical tool is like techniques from the coaching agile teams. So one of the biggest ideas are like coaching stance. Yeah. So instead of you should do, ask what do you think is causing this, for example, and what options do we have? What happens if we tried some A or B option? Yeah. So the book taught me to resist the temptation to immediately solve the team's problem. Yeah. And also the art of powerful question, asking the powerful question is really matters. So you can use these questions that make people think rather than questions that lead them to your answer. So what are we not seeing? What is really happening here? Yeah. And what we already tried something. Yeah.
I was just going to say that that's a very timely reflection also for people using AI, right? Like, because a lot of us are using AI with just give me the answer. But as Scrum Masters, we need to be continuously practicing that coaching stance, that let's explore perspective, right? Like, and it's important that we also mimic that in the work that we do with AI. Like, I don't know if you have an AI story to tell us later this week, but I think that's one of the things for us as Scrum Masters that has become important is this ability to step back and not looking for answers specifically, but rather looking to explore the wider context. What is going on, what am I perceiving, what are others perceiving, and then like hypothesize, like figuring out what are possible interpretations rather than this is the problem, engineering mindset, right? Like this is the problem and it's the only problem. So I really love that. And it's a great book. I'll put the link in the show notes for people to go and check it out. But Arun, let's turn our attention to the teams that we work with. And sometimes, as we all know, they can become their own worst enemies. So take a moment and tell us the story of that team that you were working with, and how did they, I don't know, for whatever reason, kind of change their behavior maybe, or just amplified an existing behavior and eventually got themselves into trouble. Tell us that story.
Okay, so for example, when I face the trust and communication problem in a distributed team, yeah, so my first instinct was to create more process. So the coaching mindset made me step back and ask better questions instead. So that helped me, the team, start owning the problem. Yeah. And also, so one of the main thing, yeah, one of the main thing, and also like the biggest lesson, like something the best, no, sometimes, no, the best thing a Scrum Master can give the team isn't the answer; it's a question. Yeah. So whenever I goes to the team, no, facilitating something, I coach the teams to ask the powerful questions. Yeah. So that was the main mindset I used to have. Yeah. So that if they have the powerful questions, if they have the environment to ask the questions, and the psychological safety is high, then team will open up and also improvise the way of working, and also the value when the trust is high will be also very much high. So the psychological safety, we have to make it as a Scrum Master. So we are responsible to make the psychological safety high. But how? Asking the powerful questions and use a lot of tools, kind of, getting the feedback from the team and working together with the team to help them to understand everything, like each and everyone understands each other, and also the way of working, and openness in the respectful way, communicating each other, and there is a conflict, then we mainly concentrate on the systems, not the individual.
Okay,
So
let's
we
take that and explore that, because conflict or latent or obvious conflict are very common anti-patterns in teams that eventually self-destroy. So think back to a moment when there was that, exactly that, like conflict between team members or between team members and stakeholders. And what were the actual, what was the context? What was the conflict about? And then how did you take that coaching stance? Because one thing that you said, which is very important, like we need to learn to create that psychological safety. When there is conflict, we start from lack of psychological safety, right? Like it isn't there. We can't use it because it's not there. So if you think back to one of those moments, how did you turn that situation around? How did you take a conflict within the team or between the team and stakeholders and kind of transformed it into a more collaborative approach? What were the tools? What were the approaches that you used at that time?
So one of the main thing was, when the requirements, one of the, so the customer team. So they gave the requirements, and whenever they say, like, after planning the sprint, yeah, the customer will jump into directly to the developers and ask them to do whatever he says. For
So kind of
example,
controlling them.
controlling them. So directly to the developers, and developers sometimes uh, will other to the customer. Yeah, and they start working on what they told, what we have prioritized, what we the as a team we have not, we have prioritized, that is not concentrated by developer. Instead of it, the customers who gave the requirement in between the sprint, they start working on it.
Okay, so you're saying that people come in, they interrupt the team, and the team
Exactly.
member follows the interruption instead of saying, "Hey, no, we had an agreement. We should follow the priorities." They just, they turned around and did exactly what they were told.
Yeah. So during this situation, what I made is, like, I gave training to the customer team, and bring in all the developers also with the customer team. We came into the common agreement that whenever a sprint is started, there is no need, kind of interruption from directly to the developers. So they have to come via PO, and to the by PO, it has to come to the developers.
And actually, that's a great story, because if you think about the pressure that is on top of a developer, right? Like a developer or tester, whatever, but like somebody from the outside comes and asks for something. Of course, we want to please. Of course, we want to say yes. Of course, we want to do that. And there's no psychological safety, especially if we, as you just did, call those customers, because we should be serving customers. Like everyone
Customers.
would know that,
Yeah.
right? Like everybody
Yeah.
would say, of course you should serve the customers. But by introducing the process of, hey, wait, you should come through the PO, and it should be prioritized, and it should go into the next sprint. By introducing that process, which was what Scrum did originally, we create that psychological safety, because we are giving permission to the developers, pardon me, to say, hey, wait, no, we need to get that through the PO. It needs to be clarified with the PO and then prioritized, right? So I think that's a great example, because it's also this perspective that sometimes just adding a little bit of agreements, in this case we call it Scrum, right? Adding a little bit of agreements helps us solve this problem.
Yeah. So, and also the main thing what I told to the customer, he directly told me that, Arun, you are not agile, because I asked you to do something. You told you will adopt the change. Agile is adopting the change, but you are not adapting. You are not agile. Then I said him, like, no, adapting is something is correct only. So you're telling correct, but the time. So when to adopt, the time matters a lot. So when you are bringing into during the sprint time, the sprint is started. So if you bring that into the sprint, something like urgent is already working on it. People are working on it. So you are bringing at the wrong time. So you would have been bought this in the planning or during the refinement itself. So if not, then you want it immediately, then you have to go to the PO. So then he understood the
That's a great story. Thank you for sharing that, because that's actually a common misunderstanding, right? Like some people understand Agile as just changing direction all the time, but as anyone with experience will find out very quickly, is if you're changing direction all the time, you're not going anywhere. Right? We need to have a direction for a period of time. Now, there is a case to say that maybe a 4-week sprint is too long. And by the way, that was the case when I started, right? We started with 4-week sprints way back when, and we quickly realized that that was too long. We needed shorter sprints. Many teams went to 3 weeks or 2-week sprints. These days, I would say especially with the help of AI, that 1 week sprint is probably big enough, and that we should focus on that cycle, right? Like that learning, that understanding of how do we actually accommodate change without creating chaos.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was a great story. Thank you for sharing that, Arun.
Yeah.
All right. I hope you liked this episode. But before you hit next episode, here's the deal. This podcast is powered by people like you, the members who wanted more than just inspiration. They wanted real tools and real connection to people who are practicing Agile every day. We're talking access to over 700 hours of Agile Gold, CTO level strategy talks, summit keynotes, live workshops, e-courses, deep dive interviews, books, and if you're into no estimates, we got the pioneers of no estimates in those deep dive interviews as well. Agile business intelligence, creating product visions, coaching your product owner courses, you name it. You'll get invites to monthly live Q&As with Agile pioneers and practitioners, plus a private Slack community, which is free of all of that AI slop you see everywhere, and of course, without the flame wars. It's a community of practitioners that want to learn and thrive together. It's the best place to connect with community and learn together. So if this podcast has helped you before, imagine what you will get from this podcast membership. So head on over to scrummastertoolbox.org/membership and join the community that's shaping the future of Agile. And we have so much for you. So check out all the details at scrummastertoolbox.org/membership, because listening is great, it's important, but doing it together, that's next level. I'll see you in the community Slack. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.